Hello, Mighty Warriors. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about how not to get stuck in the wilderness. Okay? So, you know the story of uh, the children of Israel. They are delivered from slavery and captivity in Egypt, and God drives them into the wilderness where He says He wants them to worship Him in the desert. And as they are driven into the wilderness, instead of going the short way to the promised land, God takes them the long way. And during this journey, the long way, the Lord is teaching them how to trust Him. The Lord is teaching them faith. The Lord is teaching them how to worship Him, how to um, relate properly to Him, being that He is God, right? And so he's given them many miracles. He's provided water from a rock multiple times. He's provided manna from heaven. He's made sure their clothes and their shoes did not wax old upon their bodies. And he's given them so many reasons to trust him, right? There should be no doubt. But as they approach the promised land, they come to this wilderness sanctuary called Kadesh Barnea. Kadesh Barnea represents this place of comfort, this sanctuary, this place where things are comfortable, things are okay. You're safe, you're comfortable, things are good, right? But it also represents this temptation to settle for comfort over the promised land, over advancing into the promise, right? And so our pastor this weekend told this really great story, and it really resonated with me because a lot of you who have watched my channel know that in August of 2020, the Lord, actually August of 2021, the Lord asked me to quit my job, to walk away. And after prayer and much confirmation, I did. Within a few days of him giving me that instruction, I did. And so ever since then, it has definitely been a journey of faith, of being taught how to trust him in the wilderness, right? There's a lot of tough situations to navigate. There's a lot of situations where I've been overcome with fear, but God has shown me that I can trust him, right? That I can believe in him, that I can depend on him, just like he did with the children of Israel. And so, as the children of Israel have wandered in the desert and they are in Kadesh Barnea, the sanctuary, God tells Moses to send spies into the land, right? He tells them to send spies. They send 12 spies. 10 come back with this really bad report. 2 come back and say, let's go up, let's take the land, we can do it, right? The 10, they see the giants, they see these people, these pagan tribes, and they come back stricken with fear, and they poison the rest of their tribes, the rest of the children of Israel, with this bad report. And despite all the miracles that God has done for them in the desert, they decline to go up. They decide they're going to shake in fear and they are going to hide out, right? They're going to stay in Kadesh Barnea. And this is the danger because, just so you know, God never promised us that the promised land was going to be without warfare, right? The promised land is a place that he has promised us, but that does not mean that we're not going to have to go in and fight for it, that we're not going to have to go in and drive the giants out of the land, right? And so to bring it into a just so you can kind of see the real world example of what God is trying to show us, our pastor gave us his story, right? And he is a former police officer, and he felt the call of God to leave his job and leave the comfort, the safety, the benefits, the the regular paycheck of his job, his Kadesh Barnea. And this move, God was asking him to move into this promised land where he would become a pastor and he would lead a church and lead many people to salvation, right? But at this time of his life, he did not have he had not gone to seminary. He was in fear, right? And there was this temptation to be in fear. But it's interesting because instead of being fearful, he took the risk. And real faith is risky, right? You don't know what's going to happen. There's always this chance that it might not work out, right? There's always this chance that you might get knocked down. But he did it. And if he wouldn't have done it, he wouldn't have been in the situation where he is now, where he is, he has a ministry that is huge and is advancing God's kingdom and is global. And imagine what you would lose. Imagine the things that you would not see if you failed to take the risk, if you fail to have the faith to move, right? And it really struck me because, there's a lot of situations that I come up against. And sometimes, you just like, man, this is so exhausting, But if I don't move, if I don't continue to advance, what could I be missing? What is it that God's got for me on the other side of the Jordan that I could never imagine, that I could never see? And so just seeing, hearing his story, seeing, he showed pictures of where he came from to where he is and the ministries that God has put him, has given him leadership over and has entrusted to him. And it really blessed me because it really showed me that this promised land that God has for us, it's always related to the kingdom, but it could be so massive. You never know how many people God might want to use you to reach, how many people God might want to use you to save. And do you want to pass away and go into heaven and have to explain to God why you didn't have faith in him and have him show you all the things that you failed to do because you would not trust him, right? And so this particular message today is all about taking a risk. Faith is risky. Yeah, it might fail. Yeah, it might not work out, right? But that's what real faith is. Real faith is risky. Real faith is got you between a rock and a hard place, right? And going back to slavery or moving forward and trusting God. That is what real faith is, right? And sometimes God will put you in these situations. He will put you in these situations to push you into the promised land that he's gotten for you. But don't think that you're not going to have to fight once you get there. Our pastor talked about how his life has gotten harder now that he is been entrusted with these ministries and he has more people in his life. The giants in the land that come against you are big and they're real, right? And they can inflict real damage. But our God is much bigger. Our God, he's promised us that he will go before us and that he will fight our battles for us, right? The Lord is our light, our salvation. Whom shall we fear? Whom shall we be afraid? We can trust that if he has put us in this situation, this situation where it's a risk, that he is going to show up. He is someone that we can trust. And so I'm going to leave this message at that because I feel like I've said enough. But if you are in a situation where God has put you in between a rock and a hard place, you know, the situation that you're in, you can't go back. Move forward and watch him part that Red Sea. Move forward and cross that Jordan. Don't be afraid. Don't listen to the bad news. Move forward and watch him come through. Watch him do miracles. Watch him drive the giants out of the land, right? Take possession of that promised land. You never know what it is that you could be losing if you don't. Until next time, I hope this message was a blessing to you. Until next time, be baptized and be blessed.